and welcome to the channel. My name is Tracy, and today I just want to cover my experiences Lego shopping in Japan. So I went on a holiday late May, early June, and one of my goals was to seek out old retired sets as well as pieces from the pad wall. And this is just so I can sort of start getting into mock building and building landscapes for a Lego city that I want to create eventually, anyway, when I have the space. So I kind of figured that Japan is like the geek culture of the world, right? They're really into anime, manga, toys and figurines and all that kind of thing. So I kind of just assumed that they would be into Lego as well. So I was quite keen to check out all of the secondhand stores and see if I could find any retired sets. I was really hoping to find, I mean, this is wishful thinking, but I was really hoping to find sets like Pirates of Barracuda Bay, the Lego Tornik, things like that. So I went in, I guess, high hopes, low expectations. But I went to a number of different secondhand stores in Osaka and Tokyo. I didn't really see any in Kyoto, but there are a number of like the Mandrake brand of stores, and I went into quite a few that I didn't even know the name of. Oh, Book Off was sort of one series as well, but most of the stores I didn't really recognize. I just went into sort of the geeky areas like Akihabara in Tokyo and I forget what it's called in Osaka, but they have a similar sort of geeky area, which was really cool to look around. And the stores, they had lots of toys, they had lots of figurines, Magic the Gathering cards, all this kind of stuff. But I didn't see any Lego. I didn't see any at all in Osaka. And in Tokyo, I didn't find any Lego until the very last store that I went to. It was the big Mandrake Chaos store right in the middle of Akihabara. And I'd gone through, I think it's like 7 or 8 levels. So I'd gone through every level hunting out the Lego, but I still couldn't find anything. I gave up, I left, I went around the corner, and to my surprise, the whole window display, or half the window display, was all Lego. The other half was like Disney figurines and stuff, and Disney memorabilia. But I was like, oh, awesome, Lego, great. And it looked like there was quite a few old sets in there as well. So I went back inside to go and check them out more closely. But it was actually right behind the counter and you couldn't see, you couldn't access the window display at all. So the only way that you could view the Lego was actually from outside. So I took a little bit of footage. You can see that it didn't really seem to be that well taken care of. All of the boxes were, some people like collecting boxes. I'm not too worried about that, but they were all sort of sun bleached and only a few price tags were actually visible. There was a big Eiffel Tower for 75,000 yen, which is quite a lot. They did have Market Street, but unfortunately I couldn't see any price tag. So that was a little disappointing. It doesn't seem like Japan is that into Lego. They're into sort of all the other toys and things, but Lego, that doesn't, at least from what I could see, seemed to be much of a market there. Even in the department stores, there were Lego displays in there, but they were quite small. Even one store had a larger Sylvanian families display than they did Lego, which was quite surprising. And the Lego they did have, they didn't really have any of the 18 plus sets. It was mostly Lego City, Lego Friends, Harry Potter, and the creator sets. I think that's pretty much all I could see. I don't remember seeing the botanicals either. I might be wrong about that though. If you did want to get 18 plus sets or the more niche sets, I guess you would have to go to the Lego store. Luckily, there are quite a few Lego stores in Japan. I went to 2 in Osaka and 4 in Tokyo. And before I went, I did do some research on the prices of the pad boxes because that was one of my goals. I wanted to stock up on pieces for mock building and for building landscapes and stuff in a Lego city. We are quite lucky to have a Lego store here in Christchurch, but it's quite small. It's a Lego certified store, so I don't know if that affects the pieces that they get, but apparently they are getting better, but most of the time it's just the same steering wheels and brightly coloured bricks and things. Anything that people actually want gets dropped and then gets snapped up within a few hours. It's quite difficult to find anything you actually want on the pad wall there. It's also really difficult to pack anything because they don't have anywhere for you to pack boxes, so you kind of have to awkwardly stand off to the side packing a box on top of, the Harry Potter section or something, like getting right in the way of other customers. So that's kind of annoying. So I was quite happy to find that when I went to the Lego stores in Japan, which I also think are certified stores, They actually had like a little shelf where that was designed for you to pack boxes there, and they had like all these extra pieces as well that wouldn't fit on the wall, so there was actually quite a good selection there. But anyway, when I was doing my research, I was led to believe that it was 3,000 yen for a large box. Even recent reviews, like a few weeks before I went, said it was about 3,000 yen for a box, and that you could get the 10% tax back by showing your passport. So I was quite excited about that, because that would actually make the price cheaper than here in New Zealand. But when I actually got there, I found out that they were 4,000 yen, so quite a steep increase. You could still get the 10% tax back though, which was really good. And most of the stores gave you the tax back at the time of purchase, so they just did it as a discount if you showed your passport. The only store that didn't do that was the Tokyo station store, the little one. There you had to go to a separate counter, so you paid the full price, you took your receipt to the counter, and then they gave you the tax back there, but they did take a fee, so you only really got about I think it was about 6 or 7% back. So 4,000 yen, but 10% tax back, that ended up converting to about 42, 43 New Zealand dollars. And that compares to a normal large padlock price in New Zealand of $35. As I said, I went to 2 stores in Osaka, Shinsaibashi and Umeda Station. And I think these stores actually had the best selection out of all of the stores that I went to in Japan. The ones in Tokyo were a bit more picked over. So if you're taking a trip to Japan, definitely check out the stores in Osaka. Every store that I went to had masonry brick, and every store I went to had some kind of like stem piece, foliage pieces, so that was really great. What they didn't have, unfortunately, were a lot of 1x bricks to go along with the masonry bricks in order to build buildings and things. But then those pieces are cheaper to buy online than the masonry bricks are to buy online, so you get a better bang for your buck with the masonry bricks anyway, so that works out. They also didn't have pieces to make tree trunks, which was a bit sad. Like the only brown pieces I could find were, I think, 1x3 bricks, which aren't much use when you're building trees, so that's something you won't have to pick up online. In Tokyo, I went to the Tokyo Station store. This is quite a small store, and it's very busy in there, so if you do want to stock up on Lego pieces, maybe try and pick one of the other stores, especially since, you know, you get less tax back at that store anyway, so it's worthwhile shopping at the other stores so that it's cheaper overall. I also went to the store in Roppongi Hills, which was quite different, that one. It had sort of instead of a wall, it had sort of like a beam in the middle of the store, or at the beginning of the store, and you sort of just walked around all 4 sides, and they had pieces on all 4 sides of the beam, and then they had a ring around the bottom where you could sort of stand and pack, but they also had cups of extra pieces and things, and the Lego store employees were really nice. When they saw me packing, they came and brought out more pieces, which was great. And then Yokohama as well, there's a Lego store there. That was great because it was such a wet, miserable day when I went to Yokohama that it was nice to be able to just stand inside for a little bit and have some fun packing some boxes of Lego. And then the last store I went to was actually in Narita Airport. This was the most picked over store that I found, so they really didn't have many parts at all. However, when I went, they did have those grass tubes with a little, kind of look like a little fern frond. So I got some of those, which was great because I had some cash left over when I got to the airport. So that was an excellent way to actually use up that cash. So even though it's actually more expensive to buy a large pad box in Japan than it is in New Zealand, I still ended up walking away with a ridiculous 15 boxes, which sounds a bit silly, but the reason was that the selection on the paddles there was just so much greater than we have in New Zealand. I did actually find out that a lot of the pieces that were in Japan did show up on our paddle later, but they were all snapped up, you know, within a few hours of being posted on the community Facebook page where people share what's on the wall at any time, so you can, you know, rush in and get what you need. So I still think it was worth it. I paid an extra, you know, about $7 per box, but it's still a significant saving over buying online. So yeah, I ended up with quite a good inventory to sort of start my mock creation journey, I guess. So I still think it's worth it. And the boxes are actually like, they're quite compact, right? So I only took a carry-on piece of luggage and I managed to squeeze 13 pad boxes in there, plus all of the shopping I did at Uniqlo, and even a blanket that I got from IKEA, like a throw style blanket, and this tiny carry-on. It was bursting at the seams, but you know, I think that's pretty good. I think it shows how much you can actually squeeze into those boxes. So the last thing I wanted to cover in this video is just an overview of all the pieces that I got. So you can see how far your money goes, what you can actually fit in each box, and the kind of selection that you could maybe expect on the Japanese pad walls. I'll also show the value of those pieces from what I could find on the New Zealand Pick a Brick online website. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more Lego content like this. Enjoy this montage, all the pieces that I got, and have a great day. Just before I get into the overview of the pieces that I got, something that I forgot to mention is in Japan they have these box sizes made out of Lego, and if your box doesn't fit through that sizer, then you'll have to go back and repack it. So I know that a lot of like American YouTubers will say that if the box sort of touches like this and then they can put some tape around it, that would be okay. That's not going to fly in Japan, and actually it doesn't really fly in New Zealand either. So that's something to bear in mind. One little tip with this is if you've packed a box like this, so you've got all these sort of bricks and pieces packed in nicely, and then you try and maybe fill this gap with like little pieces like this. Oftentimes these little pieces will slip down like this, and it'll stop you from closing the box properly, or you'll have this sort of like bulging out, and that's going to stop it from going through the sizer. So what I found when I was packing boxes is it's best to keep the bricks and the loose parts like this separate. Yeah, so if you're going to be packing bricks and plates and things, try and pack them like this so that every part of it is completely full. And then if you want loose pieces as well, maybe consider getting a second box to fill those up. So it does mean that you have to be a bit more selective about what you're packing, but it's going to stop a lot of headaches if you get to the counter and they tell you that you have to go back and repack it all, because then you have to try and like dig out all these tiny pieces, which gets to be a real pain. You just get Lego all over the floor. So just bear that in mind when you're packing your pad boxes.